I do want to, again, thank the first responders that are constantly out there doing their job. And if we saw over the last week, the numbers that have gone up have been the first responders primarily. There's been a few other people in there, but 90% of the numbers that we've been reporting this last week have been, either fire, police, EMS, the women and men that work in our nursing homes or hospitals. So again, I want to say thank you for what you do day in and day out in our community. You are the backbone of our community. You're the ones that keep us going, and that's all essential workers that are out there doing stuff. So I don't want to call them out. I get in trouble every time I forget somebody, and that goes for the supermarkets and everyone out there that keeps us moving in the right direction. So thank you. Also, as we know, this is a movable timetable. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not going to get it right. So to the people that send in email questions and other stuff and comments, listen, I'll apologize. But I'm going to give you the date. I think that's going to be the best date. It changes. It changes every day. And Dr. Whalen and I will both agree after we start getting all this testing back, she'll have a better understanding through the health department where we're at. Did we plateau? Is it going to get, are we going to continue to go up? And we both agree, because of the fact that we stopped testing over 2 weeks ago, that our numbers are significantly lower, that it's here, it's throughout the whole community. It's out everywhere in Albany County, so people should use precaution. That's why we're saying stay home. Stay home. By staying home, stops the spread, slows up the surge to the hospitals, especially when we're talking about ventilators on a statewide level, on a national level, that there's not enough ventilators. Well, this is the reason we tell you to stay home. I can't make it any simpler than that. So, the next 23 days gets us the 30th of April, right? So plan on that. The governor shut everything down, non-essential employees, to the end of April. Now he's talking about going beyond that. So again, it changes with the data he's getting on a statewide level. It's going to change, and I keep saying the next 16 to 17 days is where we might see the outcome at the end of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel being probably the 23rd or 24th of April. But we won't know, and we won't have a better understanding until we start getting all the testing back that's being done this week. So middle of next week, we'll have a better idea of where we're at. To that point, we were at 300 yesterday. We're at 309 today. We went up 9. So we're at 309 positive cases of the coronavirus in Albany County. Under mandatory quarantine, we're at 459. If you remember yesterday, we're at 340, so that's a difference of over 119 people now that are under mandatory quarantine. The precautionary quarantine stays the same, around 57, and we have 39 people being hospitalized with the hospitalization rate of 12.6. That dropped down, which is good, and we have 13 adults in our ICU, which is 2 down from yesterday. So, which is good, but again, until we know where we're at with more testing and what's going on, we should know when we're coming the lights out of the end of the tunnel. But I say to the parents out there, to the students, they cancel Regents. I don't know what more they can tell you. So if they cancel Regents, is school going to be back? I don't know. What will be the norm date? I've said this before. I'm thinking around July, before we start kind of coming out of all this. So keep that in mind. I can't say how important it is for social isolation. If you see the governor, he's raised the fine to $1,000. I mean, from $500 to $1,000. What's that tell you? People need to take this serious. Go online. Look at the people this is affecting. It's just not people to the young kids. Go online. It's not just about people over the age of 60. This has affected younger people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s. Pay attention. This is affecting us differently than anywhere else. But again, I don't know what it takes to wake people up. To the people that are paying attention here in the Capital Region, thank you so much. Again, thank you to the governor and his team for setting up this regional testing facility, which by the end of the week will be up to 1,000 people a day, which is really going to help us. It's going to keep our health department very busy, more busier than they are. But Liza Whalen.
Thank you, County Executive McCoy. So I want to talk a little bit briefly today about numbers, because this is something that we touch upon often in these press conferences, and I think it's really important to let us know where we stand. We know that we have not had widespread community testing, and so we have not been able to get a handle on how COVID-19 is affecting our community. We look to the number of cases that test positive, and we also look to the percentage of people that get testing that are positive. Those are two important numbers. We also look at how this is affecting the hospitals. The hospitals have not had an issue with surge capacity in Albany County as yet. So this is good, but it is not necessarily a reason for optimism. It may be that it just hasn't hit us yet. This week, we know since widespread testing hasn't been available that this doesn't mean coronavirus is left the community. We are hearing every day at the health department from patients that are experiencing symptoms that are very consistent with COVID-19, who in all likelihood have COVID-19, but to date they have not been able to access the testing because of the limited abilities for testing that we've had here. This is changing this week. The test center that was set up out at SUNY Albany saw between 200 and 300 yesterday, not just from Albany County, but from the capital region. They let us know it'll be 24 to 48 hours before we get the results of those back. But when we get those results, we'll know how many Albany County residents came through and how many of those tested positive. So far, about 7.5% of our tests have been positive. If you look at the downstate numbers, they're much higher, from 40 to 60%. So we need to follow that data, and we need to get a better picture of where we are. Until we get to that point, I would urge people not to feel that the messages we're getting from downstate apply to us. We don't know that they do. While it's encouraging to hear the numbers in New York may or may not be taking a turn, and again, they have limited data points, we cannot apply those to Albany County at this point. So it is as important as ever to continue to follow the messages and the guidance and the regulations around social distancing. So please continue to stay 6 feet apart. As we talk about, the weather is getting nicer. People are more tempted to go out. Do not gather in groups. The police are aware, and there will be ramifications for people that are closer than is mandated at this time. This isn't something that we want to have in place any longer than necessary, but until we know that this is not necessary, it is essential that we remain on guard and we remain prudent and we remain observant of these guidances. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whalen. Also, this is the same reason why the second day we started the mental health line. It's open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5. Please, by all means, call the number 518-269-6634, 269-6634. Someone asked me, he said, hey, are you nervous? Are you scared? Listen, if you're not, there's something wrong with you. This is the new norm that's going on. We have to adjust to it. The things bother me, absolutely. I'm no better than the next person in the room. I tell you to call the people that can help you. I can't answer them type of questions. That's why we have Dr. Giordano and his staff to help people with them questions. Yeah, you know, of course I am. I'm human. So I look at what's going on in this county, and I look what's going on with the safety and health of the people that I represent and the economy. I'm just as trying to get used to this new environment as everyone else. So I'm not immune, just the people that were texting in. So also the 211 number, the New York State hotline number. But it gets to the second part, and I thank Dr. Whalen. There's another side of the crisis from the public health impact, and that's the economic impact, which is why it's important for us to release this strategic economic development plan today, which is so much going on in the economy, having been shut down in order to mitigate the impact of this virus. We're headed towards the record economic recession. This is worse than 08 and 09, and that took us to about 2015 to get out of that. There are more than 3.28 million unemployed claims within the week ending of March 21st. That's 5 times higher than the number of any week in the history since the data has been collected, if you think of it that way. The next highest number was the week ending in September 1982, where 680,000 people filed for unemployment. So the report that we're announcing today couldn't come at a better time, because when we finally come out of this, on the other side of this crisis, we're going to need to ensure we're supporting local businesses and jump-starting the economy. Last year, I convened the Albany County Business Advisory Board to develop a strategic plan for economic development and prosperity in Albany County. The plan, completed by McCoy and Associates, was unanimously endorsed by the advisory board. I have a summary of the state of the county summary in my state of the county this year. We talked about it, and I want to start by saying that Albany County is the only county in the region that does not have an economic development entity. So this plan will address that by creating a new organization and put us on equal playing field with the counterparts in the Capital District. We're going to be filling the gaps that exist in Albany County economic development ecosystem, aligning regional resources, target investment around projects that will lead to further development and growth and transform Albany County's image. It's very important that we work on this because, again, dealing with the crisis, we have to look at the other end, and there's so many things that we've been addressing through the IDA funding, which I can't thank Chairman Andrew Joyce enough, Gary Demolowitz, Bill Clay, that all been on board, and all the other IDAs in the county that want to step up together and get loans to businesses that need them now, not tomorrow. And we need to sustain the businesses that are here today. We want growth, we want people to open new businesses, but we have to sustain what we have because, again, things are changing. And that's why I can't thank Kevin enough for leading this, the advisory committee, and all the work that Kevin's done with the economic development for the county. Kevin, I'm going to turn it over to you because it's more important you talk about this than myself. So thank you, Kevin.
Well, thank you, County Executive. And on behalf of the Albany Business Advisory Board, I wanted to thank you first for your leadership here. This is really important, and even more so in these trying times. I'd like to now just run a video of from our consultants, McCoy, which will explain the plan to you in greater detail and hear how this is all going to roll out.
County Executive Dan McCoy provided leadership and foresight in calling for the development of an economic development strategy. To help put the plan together, he retained McCoy 310 and the Bergman Group, two national consulting firms based in the capital region. It is well known that Albany County has a state-of-the-art healthcare system, world-class educational institutions, and has benefited from a stable, consistent economic base that is shielded by state government employment. Like every other county in America, it also has challenges. Some of these include attracting professional talent, retaining young people, projecting a strong identity, and maintaining aging infrastructure. Add to this a disconnected economic development system, and it puts Albany County at a competitive disadvantage for attracting businesses and talent, along with retaining businesses. This plan addresses these challenges. The project took place throughout 2019 and into the first quarter of 2020. It involved interviews with over 50 business leaders, economic development stakeholders, and municipal officials, and it was guided by a business advisory board. The end result was a very comprehensive economic strategic plan that is structured in 5 parts and totals some 200 or so pages, all of which is now available online. This plan is a rich resource for anyone wanting to understand how the county performs relative to other areas, and its recommendations are bold as they tackle some hard truths. Volume 1 is the executive summary, which places the opportunities and challenges in context and summarizes findings. Volume 2 presents the county's economic situation and its role in the local and regional economy. Volume 3 is a comprehensive assessment of the condition and capacity of the county's existing infrastructure and land use. Volume 4 provides a thorough analysis of who's doing what in terms of economic development in the county and the region, and it pinpoints where gaps exist. Volume 5 lays out an action matrix that identifies who needs to do what in the immediate, in the near term, within 2 to 5 years, and 7 to 10 years out. I'm going to provide a very broad overview of this plan and then let you delve into the details at your own pace later. The Business Council focused on what success would look like once the plan was executed. But just as the project was to launch, the world faced the COVID-19 pandemic. In the near term, then, economic success will be getting back to business. This means coming together to assist workers and businesses in need. 2 of the first recommendations of this plan are now front and center: business retention and workforce development. During the Great Recession, Albany County cut its economic development operations. National studies show that those communities that prepared for change during the recession and established a business-friendly environment were the ones that created the most jobs coming out of the recession. This time around, Albany County expects to be on the upside and prepared. So what does success look like on the other side? On the other side of the times that we are in now, the plan envisions a county that is business-friendly, that attracts talent and resources, where development is environmentally and pedestrian-friendly, with vibrant communities. The tipping point will come when the county is known as the need to be and want to be location for businesses and young people. To make that happen, the Albany County Business Advisory Board discussed and agreed upon these 4 guiding principles when it first met. As you will see, the last principle says it all. Albany County must collaborate to leverage resources and people to get ahead. Nationally, the COVID crisis is just one example of how that works when everyone shares the same objectives. Let's look at just a few of the findings and recommendations of the strategic plan. On the point of collaboration, we did a thorough evaluation of the economic development ecosystem in the capital region. The good news is that there are extraordinary resources available in the region. The bad news is that while businesses in Albany County can take advantage of some of these services, there is no one entity that looks out for the whole of Albany County in terms of economic development. In fact, we know that there are more than 50 groups doing some parts of the work, and yet there are huge gaps. There's a prevalence of business and industrial financing and educational workforce-related services, but core economic development is missing. Basic business retention and expansion efforts, business attraction, and disjointed infrastructure and placemaking initiatives, to name just a few. The first overarching goal of the strategic plan, then, is to fill the gaps and align regional resources for the betterment of Albany County. The very first recommendation has been implemented with the appointment of Kevin O'Connor. A small working group will help kick things in gear, and a new private-public entity will be formed to provide leadership and help coordinate at the county level. Business retention and expansion efforts will be coordinated throughout the county. This actually becomes even more pressing in the current environment. The red arrow shows that this is being advanced as a here and now imperative. Moving forward, the new organization will assume the role of referring businesses to the right places and develop a digital one-stop for investors, businesses, and others seeking economic development answers. Infrastructure has always been a fundamental for the efficient and effective movement of goods. It is a basic for thriving commerce and economic prosperity. Here we look at the existing conditions and opportunities of the county. Roads, bridges, freight, public transportation, bicycle infrastructure, water and wastewater, energy assets, both renewable and non-renewable, telecommunications, land use, and planning. This volume alone includes 80 separate recommendations for improving economic development assets in the county, and it serves as a guide for future public and private investments. Of the 80 recommendations, we've pulled just a few here to show how these are spaced over a period of years. A key recommendation that pulls all others together into a semblance of a blueprint is to undertake a comprehensive planning process for the county. This will provide transparency and stronger focus among municipalities with project planning, upgrades, and investment. The number one issue facing economic development organizations in all 50 states is workforce development. How to prepare for the world of work, where to find talent, and how best to match it with the needs of employers. This was true pre-COVID and will be the case after the virus is under control. Counties with state capitals are unique, and because of their government-intensive employment base, they cannot be easily benchmarked against non-capital counties. With this strategy, we benchmark Albany County against other comparable counties in other states. We looked at highly rated Austin, Texas, Madison, Wisconsin, and Raleigh, North Carolina in particular, and we pinpointed areas where Albany County can improve its standings to diversify its economic base and become more vibrant and attractive for young workers. Creating a pipeline of workers is critical to satisfy future workforce needs. Partnerships between industry and educators exist, but the county is not currently maximizing these networks for economic development. So the first task is for a concerted county engagement with existing networks and partnerships for regional workforce development. The county is well positioned to grow the transportation and logistics sector. And we see opportunities for cybersecurity, financial services, and insurance-related technology jobs. Some communities just seem to exude more vibrancy than others. In the business and economic development world, it is known that capital chases confidence. The strategic plan places emphasis on breaking down perceptions of an old school world by accentuating placemaking and providing opportunities for new voices to be heard. It envisions celebrating and promoting Albany County as a place where women have opportunities to take the lead and where entrepreneurial activities produce innovative products and creative thinking. The strategic plan envisions transforming Albany County's image by leveraging major athletic events to showcase the area nationally and internationally, telling the stories of women in business, innovation, competition, and politics to encourage young students to stay here and professionals to want to come here, creating an exciting environment for business and entrepreneurship, and establishing over time the county as a clean energy hub. This involves multiple sectors, including energy efficiency, renewable generation, such as solar, wind, small-scale hydro, microgrids, and organic waste diversion, all of which would complement rather than compete with agricultural and natural resource conservation uses. This chart shows just a few of the over 100 recommendations that are included in the Economic Development Strategic Plan that are staged over a 10-year period. Collaboration of multiple stakeholders is required to get this done. That's why this plan is a countywide plan, developed not just for county government, but for the 50-plus stakeholders that have an interest in bringing about economic prosperity. As for the new entity, it is envisioned as a private-public organization. It will have a lead role in some areas and a supporting role in others, depending on the overarching goals. For instance, to fill the gaps and realign resources, it will be the lead in areas of championing economic development, with business attraction, marketing, branding, and with placemaking and prioritizing development. It will facilitate and support business retention and expansion by bringing together multiple existing groups. As you can see, this analysis of how the county's new organization will function plays out in a similar fashion for each of the goals. The point is to avoid any duplication of effort, to fill gaps, provide leadership, and exponentially leverage on behalf of businesses and workers. The last volume of the Economic Development Strategic Plan is a detailed matrix for 36 of the over 100 recommendations. These were selected as representative and are crucial to realize the 4 overarching goals. This slide is an example of the matrix showing 1 page of the first goal, outlining by description who the lead will be, partners needed, resources where known, and the timeline for getting it done. It's a play-by-play to ensure that this is not just a paper document, but a work plan. So to summarize, there are 5 parts to the Economic Development Strategic Plan for Albany County, which informs the 4 overarching goals. These goals have multiple objectives and recommendations underneath them. All of this is available online at the county's website. Thank you for your interest, support, and cooperation in making this happen.
No, that's about it, Dan. You know, as you can see, and as you pointed out, you know, Albany County is one of the only counties in the region that doesn't have a county-wide economic development entity, and this blueprint here will put us on a path to get that, and hopefully be well-positioned to help businesses recover from the COVID crisis.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you to the Business Council and to Moines and everyone else that's been involved with this, because like I said, things have changed. And our first goal and focus is going to be relief to the businesses that already exist in Albany County, and they've already been working on that. So thank you for that, Kevin, for your leadership in Moines.